Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for attending today's call. My name is Marissa Graham, and I'll be your moderator for today. We all know that with the current economic situation, it's a real estate struggle. It's a real sales struggle. We know that during times like these, the worst thing you can do is give up. You need to be using every tool at your disposal. So the purpose for today's call is to give everyone the best, fastest, and most efficient ways to use the system to attract qualified leads and close more houses. We're pleased today to have with us Rick Brash and Mike Kowalski. For those of you who don't know Rick, he's an extremely successful real estate agent and one of Craig Proctor's top coaches and half-day seminar hosts. Rick is very qualified to not only teach you the systems that has been the secret to his success, but he's also great at troubleshooting and getting down to the root of a sales or marketing problem. We also have with us today Mike Kowalski. Mike is president and founder of Automated Marketing Solutions. Automated Marketing Solutions is Craig Proctor's preferred vendor for hotline and voice broadcasting technology. Before we get started, I'd like to briefly review the format of today's call. We have over 500 people in attendance today, and we received close to 60 questions. So again, thank you to everyone for participating. What we've done is taken the most commonly asked of your questions, and Rick will be addressing each one. If you have a question you'd like answered during the call, as Rick is speaking, please type your question into the chat section on your side menu, and we'll do our best to answer during the call. We are limited to 1 hour, but we do know how important it is to have all of your questions answered. So what we'll be doing is posting a Q&A on a site for you. You will get the information within the next couple of days, and we will be having a replay of the call. So watch out for an email with the details. Okay, so let's get started. Mike, are you there?
I'm here, Marissa. Thank you very much. And hi, and welcome everyone to on the call today. Rick, are you there?
I'm here, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Rick. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How's the weather in Toronto?
The weather is sunny, a little bit cool, but okay, we're used to it.
Well, we got snow yesterday in Calgary. It's funny. We had a great day on Saturday. I spent the day buttoning up my yard. I even put my Christmas lights up on Saturday night, and we lit them. And then it snowed Saturday night. Everybody got up Sunday, and all my neighbors went out and lit their lights up on Sunday, so my whole street was Christmas already. Snow, Christmas lights, Christmas in Calgary already.
Well, Rick, I don't want to pass that on to my wife because that'll be big trouble because I'm way behind you on that. But anyways, let's get going. I wanted to start off the first question by asking you, can you share with us how you got involved with hotlines, the AMS automated robot, which we call it, and tell us how you've used them in the past, how you use them today, and what you predict for the future?
Oh, sure. That's a great question, Mike. I guess it goes back to my early days in real estate when I felt that I had all the answers. I mean, I remember when I started in this business in 1990, I did everything they told me to do when it came to finding people to work with. So I remember when it was 25 below here in Calgary, they told us it was time on our little program to go door knocking. And we'd go door knocking in Calgary when it was 30 below, and people would slam the doors in our faces. And I actually failed in real estate the first time I tried. I came back in the business a few years later, and I quickly realized that if I didn't make some changes to what I was doing, that I would probably fail again. So I looked for help. I had to find a better way to work because I didn't want to fail again. And I ended up working with Craig Proctor, as most of you know. I found the Quantum Leap system. I found the coaching program, which I believe everybody should be involved with. And one of the things Craig taught me early in my training was how to use a hotline, how to put print ad marketing out there so that the effectiveness of it has people calling the hotline, leaving the request for more information, and then Craig in the coaching program taught me how to follow up on that lead and turn that lead into revenue. And so I went from, absolutely failing in real estate, as most people know. I ended up bankrupt in the late 90s. To having a very successful business in real estate with the hotline technology being sort of the foundation of what we did in the beginning. I got really, really good at generating messages and requests and incubating callers using that AMS hotline technology that you guys have perfected, Mike. I mean, you brought a very technically sound piece of equipment to our toolbox that that I learned how to use very well. And it's really easy. I mean, using the hotline is not that difficult. What we would do is we would prepare a print ad, and at the bottom of every piece of print ad marketing that we ran, we would encourage people to call into the hotline to get more information. In fact, I remember one time having a great debate with Craig because I still felt that people should call me first and ask me for the information versus them calling my hotline first. And Craig finally got my head around the fact that I would probably generate more leads and do a better job at generating leads if I could get people to call into my hotline first before they contacted my office. And we eventually got our heads around that, and we started to push every conceivable inquiry that we could get right into our one of our two hotlines. And I guess that was really where I realized that listening to somebody who's better at this than I am is the route to go. Because when we got our head around that idea, when we realized that getting people onto the hotline first was a better way to generate a lead than having them talk to me, our business took off. And I've been trying to help agents do that for a long time, as you know, Mike. We've been doing the hotline session at the Super Conference and trying to get agents' head around the fact that this hotline is a really cool tool to be using in our arsenal. Now, it's true that maybe these days, because the market's a little tougher, people aren't getting as many leads or as many calls into the hotline. But you know what, Mike? We still get tons of calls. We still get a high percentage of people who go to the telephone first before they go to the computer. And I don't think that's going to change in the future. I still think that if we don't have a hotline in our print ad campaign, that we are not going to have as an effective marketing campaign on the print side as we could. If we put the hotline in the print ad, we will quickly understand how much the ad costs, how much the leads cost. We'll understand the effectiveness of the marketing campaign, the effectiveness of the specific ad. We'll even figure out which papers or magazines or print ad pieces work better. And that is never, ever going to change. We have to embrace that and get that piece of equipment into every piece of print ad that we do. So I hope that answers your question.
Very well. That's a great background, Rick. As you know, there is more than just one hotline. In fact, I believe there's 3 hotlines. How do all different hotlines work, and how do they affect your lead generation?
Well, I think we have to be realistic. I mean, not everybody is going to have as many listings, perhaps, as say I do or as Craig does. So that's why we've got more than one opportunity for people to use different kinds of technology. Let's talk about the 3 hotlines that AMS and Craig built a few years ago. Okay. The most basic piece of equipment that you've built, Mike, as you know, is called the information line, right? Right. That's what we would call our less branded or unbranded hotline. And the essence behind that piece of equipment is reduce the agent's involvement in the marketing. So a 4-line service classified ad would always feature our information line. Our editorial style marketing would always feature our information line. When the caller dials the number, they hear a very generic message that simply says, "Thank you for calling the real estate hotline. Please press the corresponding 4-digit code now." They push the code, they go into the script, and they hear a brief understanding of our marketing, and the call to action then is to get the report or the list of homes. Please leave your mailing information at the tone. Nothing said about the agent. Nothing said about how great we are, that I'm number one, that I'm the top producer, all these things. Nothing there at all about the agent. So that piece of equipment, Mike, we designed, as you know, to fly under the radar. Now the other hotline that we use in conjunction with that is a branded piece. So the USP property tree, which is a fully branded hotline. When people call that, for example, if I've got my listings running in one of our real estate newspapers here in Calgary, people will see at the end of my caption about my listing a reference to my hotline. People will say, and they will call in, people will dial in the 4-digit code, but before they do that, they will hear a commercial about me. They'll hear my introduction. They'll be encouraged to press a number if they want information about my guaranteed sale program. Press another number if you're looking for information on my buyback guarantee. Press another button if you're looking for a list of homes that matches what you're looking for. And then we give them the opportunity to go off, press the 4-digit code, and get information on the listings that they've called. Again, this is a branded hotline. And the reason we say that is when people get there, they do hear my voice. They do know that I'm a real estate agent. So we're flying correctly then into the radar and giving them more than just information on the property they've called on. Because guess what we know? We know that people aren't going to buy the house they call on. In fact, what we know is they're calling it to eliminate it. So we give them opportunity to ask other questions about their needs and wants as they're searching for a home. And the USP property tree enables that very, very successfully. Now, the third line that I've used in the past is the FSBO line. And the FSBO line is something that gives us great versatility if we have a campaign in our business where we actively chase for sale by owners. In fact, we can give for sale by owners, 30 days use of the number and a few boxes for them to get messages on their property, and even have those messages emailed to them so they can probably get their house sold. We know it's not going to happen that way. We know that for sale by owners are going to have a tougher time right now than we're having getting houses sold. But the point is, the for sale by owner line lets us get our foot in the door with the for sale by owner and eventually get the listing. So the three hotlines that we should have running in our business, the most important one, of course, I would say, for people just getting rolling would be the information line. It's non-branded. It comes with a generic introduction. And it also comes with a full library of script. The USP property tree is used in a branded sense. We use it primarily for our properties. There is some script writing required for that one. And the third one is the FSBO line, which has the capability of sending the message to the for sale by owner who we've given it to. 3 specific lines with 3 specific jobs, and they all generate leads for 3 specific different.
Rick, I think you did a really good job in covering all the different types of prospects that you drive from your ads into the hotline robot. I know you've been a master of writing and recording of scripts. Can I ask you, what are the key elements everyone should pay attention to when it comes to creating scripts or marketing scripts?
Well, I think it's safe to say that the script has to tell a very quick, brief story. And we can really get hung up with script writing, Mike. And that, over the years, the last 4 years or so, one of the things I've had the privilege of doing is helping people get better at script writing. Now, a lot of people have said to me, well, Rick, why don't you just stick with the scripts that we get in the Quantum Leap coaching binder? And in fact, I do stick very close to those scripts. Craig, early in his experience with the hotlines, he's told me that he experimented heavily with scripts. And he eventually came up with a format for a script that seems to work the best. And I have not ever veered off that format. I've changed the words a little bit. I've sort of shortened things up and changed this and changed that, but I've never ever veered off of the script format. The format is really simple. The introduction these days needs to be short, sweet, and to the point. If the introduction is too long, we're simply going to get hang-ups. The property scripts need to be the same. They need to be short and sweet and to the point. Now, the issue with property scripts that I find, Mike, that most people fall victim to is they put far too many features about the property into the script. And the reason people do that, Mike, is they're still hung up on the idea that maybe, just maybe, they can get the house sold from people listening to the script. They're hung up on the idea that it's features that sell a property, when in fact we know that's not true. So if you're writing a script, a couple of the things people really need to pay attention to is what kind of features are they putting in the script. So, I don't think we should put any generic features in our script. What we should talk about are those things that people attach themselves to emotionally when they're looking for a home. We use really strong emotional descriptors in our script writing. And in fact, we paint a very generic but very emotional story about a property which enables or which incites the caller to ask me for more information. So I would much rather be in a position where I have to send out a feature sheet to give further information to people than have them hang up because they got all the information from me in the script. That's crucial. The other thing to remember is we've experimented with voices. What should the caller hear when they call into our system? Should they hear my voice? Should they hear a female voice? Should the voice have a specific type of personality? The person who writes the script, should that person have a specific type of personality? And again, over the last 5 years or 6 years or so, I've experimented with all those different things. So my personality type is an overwhelming I. I'm like a 14 on the I scale. When I sit down to write a script, I have a tendency to overdo it. I put too much information into the script. Now, my wife, Carol, on our team, our office manager and my partner, as you know, when she sits down to record the script, it's not unusual for her to take what I've written and completely change it because Carol is a D. Carol has a D-sounding voice. She would much rather read a D type of script. So she'll change it, she'll shorten it up, she'll change this, she'll change that. She'll bring the right tonality to the table. And we've discovered that Carol's D tonality with her adjustments to the script has generated the most messages for us over the years. So I do the introduction as the Rainmaker. Craig has been very clear on that the Rainmaker, as long as in my marketplace, it's English, which is the predominant language. As long as the Rainmaker's English is good and understandable and articulate, he should do the introduction. As an I personality, I bring some emotional things to the table in the script. The D female has been the best recorder for listening to the script, period. And if you go into the script library on the information line, as we all know, it's Tammy from Craig's team who did the original scripts in there. Again, good tonality, some D in her voice, and her scripts have been very, very effective for our members. There's lots of things to pay attention to. Keep your script short, make sure it's apt, and build a script with the right call to action. The call to action must be from the lead generation standpoint, not from the here's a whole bunch of info about the house standpoint. If we keep feature dumping on the properties, won't get messages.
So Rick, on the unbranded hotline or the information line, do you recommend that you don't touch the introduction script? Use the generic Tammy Johnson voice that we currently have preloaded?
Well, I think that's all we need. I mean, that script has been very effective. It's what we've done with the information line for people just getting started off in the coaching program or with the Quantum Leap system. What we've given people there is a turnkey hotline solution. A lot of people are intimidated when they've got to sit down, write a script, record it, upload it, talk on the phone, press buttons. We don't want people to feel that way. We've given them a very generic, easy to manipulate, turnkey solution, and the scripts that we've pre-recorded in that library are very, very effective when it comes to lead generation. So my suggestion is don't change what isn't broken. It works just fine. Just use what's there, but get the leads coming in as soon as possible.
That's great advice. Get a lot of questions about campaigns and ads. I want to ask you, Rick, what campaigns and ads are more successful for you, and what advertising mediums do you advertise in? Do you use the hotline in all these mediums?
Well, wherever I have a print ad of any certain kind running, it's going to have a hotline attached to it. I don't care if it's listings marketing. I don't care if it's service classified. It doesn't matter. And on that note, Mike, there's absolutely no reason why we can't put our hotline on our online marketing. There's no reason we can't put our hotline into our Kijiji or our Craigslist or our Backpage or our Web Cosmo ads. There's no reason why the hotline can't be in there. I'm not saying it's the most effective means of lead generation, but the more people we get on our hotline, the better chance we have of getting a very good lead. I would suggest that in all of my print ad marketing, there's 2 or 3 opportunities to call my hotline for different things. If you look at, for example, if you look at my listings marketing, here in Calgary, my listings are featured on 3 specific different print ads, full page, full color, just pure listings. There's numerous reasons to call the hotline to get more information. Numerous reasons. And I would suggest that's probably our number one lead generator using the hotline is our listings marketing. As well, I've put my hotline out on all of our for sale signs as well, and we encourage people to call the hotline from their car on their cell phone if they want immediate information about the property. Now, I know some agents, what they've done is instead of putting prices in their print ad marketing, when you call the hotline for information, they're saying for the most current price on this property, please press 0 to be connected to our office. That's a great way to get people to zero out to your office and have a chat with them and turn that into an appointment. But wherever you have anything that's print ad, I would suggest that you should have your hotline there. Now, we're just in the throes of experimenting with a few new things. In fact, what we're going to be doing from our website where we keep all of our listings and our virtual tours is I'm going to be implanting the hotline and the ID code right on top of the picture so that even when people are on the internet, even when they're on my website, even when they're looking at virtual tours, they still have an opportunity to call the hotline. And the reason we're going to do that, Mike, is as you know, a lot of people view that stuff now with smartphones. And smartphones give people the opportunity to stare at listings while they're sitting on the bus or sitting in their office or whatever, and we're going to put our hotlines there as well. We're starting that campaign for 2009.
I think that's great, Rick. I think that's great. I think it also, you're really not alienating the type of prospect that comes online. You're giving them the choice to either go online, put their email address in the opt-in box, or call the toll-free number to listen to your message. So it's well integrated.
Yeah, I'm still one of those old-fashioned guys. I still like hotline leads. I still like those messages that come in. I know a lot of folks have gotten away from telephone marketing or doing more with internet, but I still find a higher percentage of our hotline-generated leads are really of better quality than some of the internet leads we're getting. So I'm going to do all I can, Mike, like literally all I can to get people onto my hotline.
That's great. I thought we had some ads that sample ads that we wanted to show you on this presentation. We had the distress sale, bank foreclosures, find out what your home was worth in 2009. I'm not sure. Here it is now. We got the inspection ads. Here's the screen that I'm talking about. Here's a few samples of some of the ads that you're using, Rick, to generate leads.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's no shortage of marketing. I mean, through the coaching program, I've been given more ads than I've ever used. But these are just the three on the right are three great examples of how to use a hotline in simple service classifieds. So find out what your home will be worth in 2009, call the hotline, and listen to a quick free recorded message. Again, the ad is not agent-centered. It's a non-branded, less branded piece of marketing, and all people have to do is call in for a quick free recorded message. And it's amazing how many people call. It's amazing how many people are interested to know how much their house will be worth next year. Find out what the neighbors' homes are selling for. Again, just quickly call in, listen to a quick free recorded message. There's no one they have to talk to. The premise is there. They don't have to speak to an agent. It's not about me as an agent. It's simply about giving the consumer what it is they need. And then our distress sale, I've got 4 or 5 versions of the distress sale ad that I run all the time. The one we've got here, tons of listed homes that must sell by February 2009. Distressed houses, vacant houses, foreclosures. It's just a play on our very, very successful distress sale ad. The one on the left is our basic ad that we all work from the coaching department. And there's just a different version of it. So some members have said, well, there's 7 or 8 people in my city all using the same ad. That's not the end of the world. The reason we're running the same ad is because it works. But there's just a variation of what you can do with the distress sale ad. And you can take that ad with the hotline and you can put it anywhere. You can put it in a newspaper. You can put it in a magazine. You can put it on Kijiji. You can put it on Craigslist. You can build that as a Google pay-per-click, and you can have your hotline in it. This is going to work wherever you put it because these ads continue to work over and over and over again.
Sounds like a lot of marketing weapons you have. Rick, sticking to advertising, when you advertise the branded hotline or the USP property tree, as we call it, and you use a branded ad, do you just put down a toll-free number, or do you give them a specific offer as well?
Well, that's a great question. There's a couple of things I've learned over the years about presenting the opportunity to call the hotline. I found that what a lot of folks were doing was simply putting a picture, the price below it, writing a caption, and then in the same font style in the same paragraph as the caption, just saying, free recorded information, call the hotline. And we were finding that agents weren't getting as many calls into the hotline as they should have been. So my recommendation has always been, you put your reference to the hotline on a separate line below the caption, and when we do it, we even use a different color for the font. And we encourage people to call for a quick, free recorded message. And that's what we've continued to do now, probably for the last 3 years. Quick, free recorded message in brackets below the hotline. And it's worked really well for us. So separate it from the caption, use a different color, and use a different font style, and people will call in.
Now, Rick, we talk about track and reports. I'm sure it's a big part of marketing, tracking your marketing dollars and your return on investment. How do all the AMS reports available users help the members get to really understand the effectiveness of their marketing and track their return on investment?
That is a very good question. It's a very important question. The issue that a lot of people face is they put the ad out there, they sit and they wait and they hope and they pray. We have all the tools in place to find out exactly how effective a specific marketing campaign has been if we use the hotline. Now, Mike, I don't know the names of all the reports that AMS has available to us, but there's a plethora of them.
There's about 8.
To our hotline. Did you just say there's 8 of them?
Oh, there's at least 8 or 10. There's detail summary. Yeah, there's a caller line ID. There's a whole whack of reports. You can track and measure the effectiveness of your scripting and the calls that have come into your hotline funnel.
Yeah. So I think the detailed summary was the one I favored the most, and still do. I look at that one the most now. I'd like to know, number one, I'd like to know how active my scripts have been. So if I look at a specific series of scripts that begin with a specific number, I know those recordings and calls are coming from a specific ad. I like to look at how long people listen to my introduction, and I like to look at how long people listen to my description of a property. That's what I like to look at. When I've got an introduction where people are listening to almost the whole thing, then I have a winner. When I've got a script where people will listen to the entire script before they go ahead and leave a message, then I've got a winner. I also know how effective or how good the distribution of that ad has been. If an ad rep has told me that we're putting this many papers out every week or every month, and yet the competitor is doing the same, and my competitor is generating 3 times more callers than the other one is, I know that ad rep isn't telling me the truth. I know that the one ad is not as effective as the other, and I can actually turn that ad off. I can determine my cost per lead, which is very, very important. I can determine my profit per lead once I understand how effective it's become. You've produced all those reports, Mike, that people can use to get a real handle on how people are using the hotline who are finding it in the ad marketing. So I would suggest start with the detailed summary. Have a look at everything going on with the calls into the hotline, and from there you can go off on a few different directions just to finitely figure out exactly what's going on with callers and costs and return on investment.
That's great. I know Craig Proctor likes to use the summary report, but there's so many reports that you can use to help your business. Now, in sticking with the reports, what kind of averages should members be looking for in terms of messages left versus the amount of calls they receive? And I know it's quite different from the information line to the property tree, but can you share that with us?
Well, I think one of the things we want to look at is what's industry average, first of all. For real estate agents who run a generic type of hotline service, what's industry average? Industry average for calls and messages is about 3% of the calls generate a message. And for Quantum Lead coaching members, that's a pretty low rate. It should be higher because of the format of our hotline. So, I've always enjoyed anywhere from about 15, 17, 20% messages left to call ratio. A couple of years ago when the market was really hot, we were up around 33% messages left calls. And I remember those days. It was insane. We were in a hot seller's market here in Calgary. We couldn't possibly deal with all the leads that were generated. But overall, number one, we should be looking for a consistent number. So if it's 5 or 6 or 8 or 10%, it should be the same every single month. Now, one of the problems I have found with people is they don't have a consistent marketing campaign. Mike, one month they put out a page of listings in their local real estate newspaper. The next month they don't. Then they put one out that week or the following week. You need to have this consistent, predictable lead generation model. And when you have that in place, and there's a multi-layered aspect to it, then you can determine that if this month my messages were down, we can quickly figure out why. Got to be coming from a consistent, predictable lead generation model. So I would suggest that a good number to work towards, a good conservative number would be 10% of your callers should be leaving messages on your hotline.
That's great. I know Dan Kennedy has always said that if you're not touching the people at least 7 different touches, it's not worth the marketing. 7 different touches, whether it's offline or online, that you should be getting in touch with your prospects. Now, I believe you dealt with this question earlier in the call, but it was a popular question. Many people attending the call today want to know whether or not to include the price of the home in your ads and scripts.
No. My answer always is no, for a couple of reasons. When we build a script from the aspect that what we're trying to do here is generate leads, if we give out all the crucial information to the caller, they have no reason to keep moving forward and ask us for more. So we avoid many of those common things that people are looking for. I seldom, if ever, put the price in a script. I never put square footage in. I never put how many bedrooms in the property. I often don't put the size of the lot. I very, very seldom will put those kind of statistics into a script. And the reason is, Mike, when we build a script, it's solely to generate leads. And somebody asking me for a feature sheet on the property is lead generation, and that's what I'm trying to do. Again, I'd much rather have that lead come into my office and have us send the feature sheet out on the property, and then us follow up with a phone call to generate the appointment. That's lead generation 101, the way Craig has taught all of us. And that's the predictable model of lead generation that we want to have all the time. So if you put all the stuff in the ad, there's no reason for them to ask you for more.
Great. And you mentioned follow-up. I believe Craig is providing a universal callback script on the follow-up lead. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, again, for those people on the call who've never been through the coaching program, you're probably familiar with the idea that when you call somebody, you need to have a script. And it's not unusual for these trainers out there to have a whole collection of scripts depending on the call, depending on the objection. One of the great things about Craig and the coaching program was this. Here's one script that will work for every person who calls in. Craig calls it the Universal Callback Script. I call it the UFUS, UFUS, Universal Follow-Up Script. Craig taught us to use that script for any kind of a call that comes in and to master that script. The purpose of the script, very simply, is to generate an appointment. Not to sell a house, not to talk about the market, not to talk about the weather or the hockey team, to generate a call.
That's great. That's great, Rick. Can you hear me, Rick?
I can.
Great. Okay, I hear a little bit of echo in the background. So, Rick, another common question that's been asked is, why do you believe that hotlines work for some people and does not work so well for others?
Because they're not consistent with the way they present the hotline. And it's amazing. Again, I've had the privilege of working with lots of agents over the years who've just not had the success with the hotline that they think they want to have. And I always say this, if your marketing isn't effective, you won't get calls into your hotline. The hotline always mirrors how effective the marketing from a print ad standpoint is right now. And if your marketing isn't effective, you're simply not going to get calls. And the reason is, ineffective marketing doesn't get read, it doesn't get seen, or it gets very quickly eliminated. So that's what I say. If your marketing isn't working, it's got nothing to do with the hotline. If you're not getting calls, it's probably got nothing to do with the hotline. It has to do with the marketing. If you don't have enough marketing out there, Mike, there's no way you can get a lot of calls into your hotline. One ad, one paper, one day of the week is not going to produce a sustainable amount of calls in the hotline. Never, ever did Craig ever say that it would do that. Our marketing needs to have a multi-layered approach. We need to reflect all the things we've learned through coaching and have this multi-layered marketing approach, which includes the hotline. When you've got your hotline out there everywhere where people can see it and find it and call it, you're going to up the ante when it comes to calls. But for folks who've only got one or two ads running out there with a hotline in it, it can't be effective. It can't be effective.
So it's all predicted by the amount of marketing that you do on the hotlines. Okay, great.
The amount is one thing. The amount is one thing, but the effectiveness of the marketing is another. Just because you've got an ad out there doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get calls. It has to be an effective piece of marketing. So here's an example. If the ad you've got running, Mike, is all about you as an agent, you reduce your calls because people don't care about us as agents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Great. Okay, another popular question, Rick, surrounds the issue of short sales and the availability of scripts and ads available for the quality people members to use. Could you comment on this, please?
Yeah, now, as you know, Mike, I'm a Canadian, so we don't have a great deal of that short sale phenomenon happening here in Canada. However, worked with quite a few agents over the last year and a half or so who have needed a short sale script. And if it boils down to this. It's no different a kind of marketing than anything we're doing now. It's just that our marketing is for specific short sale situations. So if you've got a buyer who wants to take advantage of a short sale because he thinks that he can get a better deal, we need to include that as a marketing campaign. If you've got sellers who are in a short sale situation and need to talk to you very quickly, we need to incorporate that into a marketing campaign. And if we need to come up with a report or something for short sales, then by all means just send me an email or give me a call, and we can very quickly come up with a very strong report that will work for the short sale situation. Now, I know most of the Americans on the call today are facing short sales in great numbers, and this is a great market to be working in. Everybody should be a short sale specialist right now because there's tons of them. We know of agents in both the Mastery program and the Platinum program who literally have tripled their income because they've become short sale specialists. And bringing these inquiries into our hotline is just one layer that we can become very adept at with the right script, with the right marketing piece, and presenting the right message when they call. And that's the easy part. And we're more than pleased to help people get really good at that if they need the help.
Well, Rick, we talked about leads earlier in the call. Because we know a lead is no good unless you follow up with it properly, can you share with us what you do once you've got the lead?
Yep. So my method has never changed from when I started the coaching program. The one thing they banged into my head early was to have a predictable system. So when a lead is generated in my office, whether it be a hotline lead, a web lead, whatever, it follows the same process every single time. The lead comes into our office via email. The lead's information is then inputted into our contact management system. Now, I'm one of the guys that uses Agent Office because it works. We input the lead, then we have what we call request fulfillment. If somebody has left a message on a hotline for a report on an editorial ad, for a feature sheet on one of our listings, or for a list of homes, say on the VIP buyer ad, we send out what they have asked for. If it's a list of homes, Mike, we simply send them out a snapshot of homes that match what they've told us they're looking for. Once that has been done, we then follow up with the next activity, and that is the universal follow-up call. We call that lead within 24 hours of it coming in, and our sole goal when we call them is to determine timing and motivation, and if it makes sense, book the appointment. And that's how we do it over and over and over again. My good friend in Winnipeg, Dave Thompson, he has a saying that I just love. It's called rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We don't customize the approach on leads for anybody. Every single lead that comes into my operation is handled the same over and over and over again. And I think that's crucial. And that was one of the things that I learned when I started coaching that I didn't have. I didn't have a method that would make it easier. Now I have a method. I have an easy way to do it. We have all the tools that we need. You make it easy, Mike, for us to input leads into Agent Office, because you send the VCF card with all the leads that are generated in the email. 1 or 2 clicks, and that person is now in the contact management system. We launch the plan, and we follow the procedure over and over again.
Rick, can you comment on people, for the number of people on today's call that are just starting out? I know there's so many different ideas and strategies. I know it's really overwhelming, especially when you just start in the Quantum Lead program. Can you recap the most important things you need to do to get going quickly and successfully?
Well, sure. The most important thing, first of all, and people get tired of hearing me say this, the foundation for our business, the foundation for success in real estate is lead generation. It's not technology. Now, Mike, I'm not saying that the hotlines aren't important or websites aren't important. The first order of business is to understand that without lead generation, we don't have a predictable way. So it starts there. Lead generation goes off in a couple of different directions. If it's print ad we want to focus on, we've given our members literally hundreds and hundreds of ads to work with in terms of print ads. Service classifieds, editorials, USP ads, display ads, they're all there. We use these in very inexpensive publications, real estate magazines, local newspapers, all those kinds of things. Attach your hotline to every single one of those lead generation pieces that are out there. And like I mentioned before, use the free advertising that's available. Yes, you want to put your hotline in your Kijiji ads. Yes, you want to put your hotline in your Craigslist, in your WebCosmo ads. This is absolutely crucial. Start off with a non-branded presence. Take yourself out of the equation. Start off with a simple, predictable, less branded approach to lead generation. Some members who have gone a long ways and made millions of dollars still have a huge non-branded lead generation component to their system. And I would suggest that once you master that, then you can move on to the more branded marketing. But always start off non-branded, keep it really simple, attach a hotline to your ads so that people can come, make a good call to action, give them a reason to carry on, don't give them everything up front, and get really good, get really adept at getting messages on your hotline.
That's great advice, Rick. I believe we have still some time on the call here. Marissa, do you have any questions that have come in through the webinar today?
I actually can't see any more. One of the questions here, Mike, was where do you find the best advertising for the hotlines, and which properties get the most response? Short sales, foreclosure, or regular sales?
Rick, you want to tackle that?
Yeah, no problem. So my advertising for listings is threefold. I'm center spread in 2 magazines here in Calgary, and then we have a full-page real estate newspaper ad that I run probably once or twice a month. That's what we do. Now, in my particular marketing, I don't put out there that it's a foreclosure. I don't put out there that it's anything. I think what has been working well for us is specific price points. We have found recently that the lower price points are getting the most activity on our listing. Now, I don't carry too many low-end properties. We're more of a move-up style. But I would suggest that for agents that want to get really rolling with their print ad marketing, find the lowest priced properties in your marketplace, attach a really strong call to action script on your USB property tree, and get people asking for more information and more feature sheets on those lower priced properties. That would be my suggestion. And that's the direction I've helped a lot of people go as they've begun the process of advertising listings using the hotline.
Martha, is there any additional questions that have logged in throughout the call?
Nope, not that I can see here.
Okay, well, now I have a special opportunity or offer for everyone that's joined us in the call today. So anyone who is not an AMS member using AMS hotlines, or have one line and wants to add an additional one, we have a special opportunity for you today. So we are offering one information line or one USP property tree line, including all Craig Proctor's marketing scripts, preloaded and done for you in the system. We've also included unlimited minutes for free for 6 months. And we've also added a bonus as well, 2 CD set bonus. One of these CDs is called Generated Constant Streams of Leads, which is featuring Rick Brash himself, who's on the call today. Rick generated 3,766 leads using AMS hotlines in 3 months. This resulted in an additional $243,555 in income. Rick calls it the AMS Freedom System. The other CD is how to double your profits using hotlines. And what we did there, we were featuring a number of other top real estate professionals who were on the call, and we basically interviewed them as well, and they shared all their secrets and ideas on how they got the hotlines to work as well. All this is for $39.95 a month plus a one-time setup fee of $97. You get all this for $39.95 a month plus a one-time setup fee of $97. So to go ahead and take action, call our toll-free number at the bottom of the screen, which is 1-800-458-1899. You can press 2 before 5 p.m. today Eastern Time and ask for the Rick Brash special. That's 1-800-458-1899. Well, Rick, that wraps up the call for today. Rick, I want to thank you very much for your... Sorry?
My pleasure, Mike. I've enjoyed this today, and I just wanted to say that I met so many people in Phoenix who had tons and tons of questions about hotlines. And if it's okay with you, Mike, I just wanted to put my email out there. If people have questions they want to email me, would that be all right?
Sure, yeah. Like we said earlier in the call, Rick, we're also going to provide like I said, we had a lot more questions than we covered today, and what we're going to provide an email and a web page answering all the questions that came in through the Ask campaign, as well as an opportunity to as a replay for this call. But yeah, go ahead and what is your email address?
Well, it's Rick, R-I-C-K, at rickbrash, R-I-C-K-B-R-A-S-H.com. And there's just a couple of things. by all means, if you have a question about your hotline technology, don't be afraid to send it to me. I'll do my very best to get back to you as quick as I can. The other thing I just want to mention is a lot of folks were at our recent conference in Phoenix and didn't take advantage of the coaching program. And I can't stress enough how important it is to get help with your real estate business. And we still have, Craig still has some space available if people would like to join. And I would whole-souled encourage folks to call into Craig's office and just have a chat with James McDonald over there. The number is 800-538-1034. And have a chat with James about how you can make this coaching program work for you. I mean, I know there's some financial stress right now. I know people are having a tough time. But call that number. Call James at Craig's office. Have a chat with him. They'll work out whatever we need to do to get you into the program. And you'll get access to all this information we've talked about today if you've never done that before. I just can't stress enough the importance of being coached, Mike. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, you got to be accountable for all your marketing. And like I said, I believe it is risk-free, right, Rick? It is a 30-day trial for coaching, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right.
In fact,
So the risk is all on Craig, and yeah.
Great.
That's great. So again, Rick, unless we don't have any other questions left, I want to thank you very much for your time and your expertise. I think we really appreciate the time you spent with us today. I'm sure all of the listeners have taken away something to help them with their success moving forward.
Great.
Take care, guys.
Pleasure. Anytime. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.